Yo, what's good? How's it going? Look, I'm glad you're here. My name is Albert Williams III, and welcome back to another episode of the Uncommon Legend Experience. And today we have another guest. We got my boy Howard. Howard, introduce yourself and what you do, all those things.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, first and foremost, I want to say thank you for having me on the day.
Yes, sir.
I'm simply a man on the journey to become everything God's created me to be, and I invite people along with me along the way.
Yeah.
I do this through leading a young adult ministry right now called Become You in the Metro Atlanta area, where we're building a community of young adults all over
Yeah.
to really be able to live their faith authentically as well as wrestle in those
Mhm.
uncomfortable aspects of their faith. And then, in this season as well, I'm a full on creative since birth.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like to say I'm a coach, a counselor, and whatever else is needed to ensure that people are cultivated to become everything they're meant to be. So that's what I'm on in this season. And just learning how to navigate all the different terrains God has placed me in, whether that's within my corporate job, ministry, or in music and family. So it's been a journey.
Yeah. No, for sure. That's what's up. Yeah. So Howard and myself are actually classmates at
Yes,
Campbell
sir.
School of Theology at Emory University. Yeah, it's like all this name just to get out one school. And it's so crazy, we like bumped in each other at like
Yeah.
orientation, and it was just like instant, like, "Oh, yeah, we gonna be boys, you know what I'm saying? We gotta, really like link up. Let's talk about this, like, let's kind of hold each other accountable. Yeah, if y'all don't know, seminary is hard. Like it is intense.
Yeah.
It is difficult. It can be isolating and a little, just a little like you feel a little like lonely, like that
Yeah.
you're like, man, I'm I'm the only one trying to do these assignments. And so I think it was really good to bump into you, man, because I know like I'll check in or he'll check in with me, and then we do these little voice memos back and forth. And honestly, I think you said one time, I was like, dang, this brought me back to life. Cause I swear
Man.
I was about to throw my phone and do like whatever today. Cause I was like, I'm sick of it. I don't want to pick up another book. I was like, what's good, bro? Like, you
Hey,
making it? It's like, all right, I appreciate you. Right. So yeah, so it's really good to have like partners of commisery. I mean, partners in ministry.
in the commission, in the
Yeah,
commission of God.
in the commission. Yeah. So yeah, like I would say, it's been good kind of getting to know you a little bit, and just going through classes, because the other thing is we have synchronous classes, and if you are a college student or you are a grad student or if you or anybody understands what it's like to work Zoom in a synchronous class,
Man,
which means you got to go to this class and sit in there like it's an actual class
and be
on Zoom.
engaged. And be
Yeah, you got to
engaged.
engage. You got to engage because this is like your participation grade. Like this
Mhm.
is not like a all turn it on, walk away. No, you got to be right there, locked in.
Yeah.
They want to see you. They want to, like know you exist. But I will say it's a very interesting experience because it's allowed me to interact with other classmates. Howard and I actually had one class this semester together, and we'd get on there, and sometimes I don't know if you know, but sometimes you'll do something or something will be said, and I look at you on the screen, and I know you see me, and one of us will cut the camera off.
'Cause I would say that a seminary is full of a variety and diversity of opinions and voices, and at times it's hilarious. That's all I
Yeah,
got.
yeah.
Without trying, it's
It's
hilarious. It's funny.
all out of it's all out of respect. It's all out of
Yes.
respect. Like it's like, you know what? Okay,
Yeah.
I hear you.
And along with being a creative, I can be a comedian at heart. So it's like
Yeah.
I'm thinking in joke sometimes just to be able to laugh through what we facing. You know what I mean?
I promise you, I become Kevin Hart in a minute. Like, I'd be like, man, laugh at my pain, because I promise you, I'm going through it. That last week, like, what was finals week like for you?
Finals week was honestly like I was talking to God. I said, if hell is anything like this, I would definitely want no parts, and I needed to make sure that my salvation is secure, as the word says, because there are multiple moments throughout that last week, bro, where I was literally asking, like, God, am I doing the right thing? Like, do I
Yeah,
need to
yeah.
keep doing this?
Mhm.
And honestly, throughout my theological study experience, that's been the question almost every week.
Yeah.
Am I doing the right thing?
Mhm.
Do I need this?
Yeah.
And, you know, what God spoke to me just in my time of prayer and through the word. I was meditating on Psalm 23,
Mhm.
and just seeing God as a good shepherd. What I kept hearing as I was journaling and things of that nature and reflecting, was keep going.
Yeah.
And, there was a moment, literally that Monday of the final week, where I wanted to cry, just due to all the pressure from all those
Yeah.
research papers, Lord, and the citations and the readings and making sure had the right context of what I was reading to
Yeah.
then appropriate to the text. And, I was reminded that I need to keep going and that God would supply my need to be able to keep going and to be able
Mhm.
to finish and to not be afraid of failing or not be afraid of making the mistake or not be afraid of wasting time, but really seeking to learn the lesson of what that time was being spent on,
Mhm.
and just being present enough to put my best foot forward. That last week practically looked like me being up till 3 a.m., 4 a.m., writing every day, and then being up during the day, still reading and writing while listening to Howard Thurman while also working.
Oh,
Because I work full time. I lead a team.
yeah.
So like when I'm outside of meetings, I'm taking notes and making sure that I'm in alignment, emailing professors.
Same.
But by the end of the week, that message of keep going went far because I was able to
Yeah.
finish everything I needed to, and I ended with straight A's. So we
Hey,
Gucci,
yes, sir.
but
Yes, sir.
yeah, but there was pain, but it was purpose in it all. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
No, I feel that, and it's like so crazy because I'm blessed, and I never thought I would be able to say this in context to seminary, right? Like I'm
Yeah.
blessed that I work full time in ministry
Oh my
and
goodness.
full time in campus ministry because I took the
Yeah.
week off. I said, don't look for me.
Yeah.
Like I told my students, I will get you through your finals week and then I'm gonna go do mine because I can't do both. Like I mentally and I think that helped me a ton because I didn't have to stay up to midnight, 2:30, 3 o'clock, but I
Yeah.
was literally writing papers from 9 to 5,
Yeah.
all week.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like, oh, let me, no, I'm literally, and then I still ended up spending, I still ended up spending time with students. Like there was one day where I was
You
like,
can't escape
I
that.
had yeah, like, it was like, man, like, cause I was in the coffee shop and I saw them and, I'm like, "Oh, how's it going?" And I hadn't seen them because 'cause I'm not really in the office as much because I was, working on my stuff. And it was like one of those where it was like, guy was basically nudging me like, "Yeah, you gotta spend time with them," right? As much as like, yes, you do not have the bandwidth or the time to do this, it's you should. And then what was so crazy though was there was one day I was sitting with students and I had written my first essay. So I wrote it for MDiv 500. I already wrote that essay. That essay was done Monday
Mm,
of that week. Cause I spent all weekend just literally like I looked at my wife and I was like, all right, I love you. I gotta lock in. So like literally my back was so tense from sitting down and being in a
yeah.
compressed position. I had to go do Pilates and yoga just to like straighten my back
Wow.
out, bro. Like I was literally like for like 3 days, it was literally like Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I literally did nothing else. Like I didn't even play video games, which was really sad for me. But like I literally was like, guess I gotta write this essay. So I was in Starbucks or I was at the local coffee shop or, like, or I was here in my house, and just writing and reading. And then, during the week, like I found myself, like I said, like writing and read. But then, I spent time with them. I was like, dang, I'm losing time. But I was like, I'm an essay and a half, like down. So like I could spare this time. And then,
Yeah.
I finished one essay, got that out. I finished it up like going into that weekend, sort of. And then I had to record a video because like my professor gave us the option between a video and essay, like a 7 to 10 page essay. I was
Oh,
like,
give
bro,
me the
I
video.
give me the video. I'm
Give me
making a
the video
podcast.
every
Like
time.
that's
What?
what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like literally it's actually one of my better performing long formatted videos on YouTube, which is so crazy.
What? Okay.
Because I was like, you know what, let me just release this because I was like, I had to work on it, it's
Yeah.
like 15 minutes long. He only needed 10, but I ended up panning out and because I'm a creative and I allow myself to like work into that. So I like, threw it in DaVinci, and even put words in there. Like, so I was like, man, I gotta make sure this looks good. Like I can't, I can't just, bullcrap this. Like I gotta do
Yeah.
good work. And I found myself, even though I spent time with students 2 days out of that week, I found myself feeling like I still had enough time, but still also trying to prioritize rest. Because when I
Mhm.
wasn't writing, I was reading, and it was like
Yeah.
it was just one of those. And then if I wasn't doing that, I was spending time with my wife because I hadn't seen my wife all semester.
Mm.
Because that's how campus ministry goes. It's like this is the time, like right now, like even when I finish this up, I'm gonna hit stop and then we're gonna go spend time, at the coffee shop reading because it's like, from August to early December and January to early part of May. Like I'm married to her, but if I'm not careful, I could be married to the work. And
Yes.
so I think for me, yeah, I found myself really trying to make sure like, okay, I don't want to push myself to the brink, but also I got to do quality work.
Mhm.
And I guess that would lead me into like my next question. So you're in corporate, and I already knew like you were in corporate, but like how have you found yourself like finding that balance of doing the corporate work, to doing the seminary work, and then doing the soul work like of yourself,
Yes.
like making sure that you like it is well with my soul. Like
Yeah.
how do you balance that?
It's honestly extremely hard,
Mm,
and, I would say my experience is a reflection of many people's experience who are multifaceted, where
mm,
it's like you have all these different giftings and skill sets and all these different doors opening up. But it's just a matter of like, okay, how do I manage this time in a way to where I don't lose myself in the process, you
mm,
know? And I am one, like you mentioned, who can easily be married to the work.
yeah.
And, even in the single season, which I'll
Mm.
be exiting by faith in the near future.
Hey,
but,
hey, hey,
but-
hey, hey,
yeah,
amen. Amen.
yeah, but even in the single season, it's been a journey to be like, okay, am I actually taking the time for me? There have been times where I've been in
Mhm.
class and I have an HR partner call me while I'm in that synchronous class, and I'm muting
Yeah,
class and like
yeah.
turning off my camera briefly, like I'm going to the restroom, to hop on a
Mhm.
call with the HR partner to handle something
Yep,
that's popping off,
yep.
and then still having the young adult ministry life where there's people coming at you with crisis, they're struggling in relationship, they're having ideations,
Yeah,
the whole
gosh, yeah.
deal. And it's like, man, I feel like I'm getting pulled from every leaning side. And it's almost like I forgot what this method was called, but in the medieval times when they would tie someone to a horse and they would have the four horses go in different directions and stretch the person apart. That's what it feels like at times.
Mm,
Just full fledged. And
yeah,
for me to remain grounded, that soul work aspect comes first.
mm, yeah, yeah.
So, something my mentor encouraged me before even seminary was to one, make sure I stayed planted in a church home
Yeah,
and
yeah,
don't replace theological study with your theological experience with God,
yeah.
individually. But then two, also make sure that you have your personal Bible study. So I've had to modify. I'm not reading as much,
Right.
right? Because I'm reading
Yeah,
so much for school. But at the same time, just being able to hone in on a passage or hone in on a verse. So for me, like
yeah.
finals week, Psalm 23, just over and over and over again, and really like
Mm,
leaning on what it looks like for the Lord to be my shepherd. And then asking the question, what does this look like practically in my life?
right.
So what do I allow God to shepherd my corporate experiences? Am I engaging in every meeting? Am I learning how to say no to opportunities that no longer suit me? I had opportunities for promotion that I turned down because it would
Mm,
conflict with my theological experience of study.
yeah,
There were different opportunities as well, even creatively. Before school, I was doing YouTube, and I was like, I could keep going to
yeah,
YouTube. I just got 1,000 subscribers. I can keep boosting it,
yeah, yeah,
and I was like, I'm gonna lose myself if
yeah.
keep this up, at least within the context that I'm doing it in.
Right, right, right.
So just learning where to pause and where to go has
Yeah,
been very important for me, and that path and method of discerning what is needed and necessary in the season has been a process that I've been engaging in more and more to make
yeah,
sure that I am well, and then everything that I manage and serve is well as well. So I'm focused on quality over quantity right now.
yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
man. That's a word. Like I think that's so rich for us, like to really like hone in on. It's like what is it's like and I made a video about this. Like it's like what is required?
Yes.
What is necessary?
What is this?
You know? And for us in a Christian context, right? It's like the Micah 6:8. It's like what is required? Well,
Yeah.
he has told you what is good, right? To be humble,
Yeah.
to love and
To do justly.
do
Yeah.
justly, like it like, oh. So live with that humility, right? And
Mhm.
live into the limits that have been given to us, but also how the limits could also be a gift, and limits are a gift.
Yep.
Like it's like I can't do everything.
Mhm.
And because if I could, then I would not need God,
Yeah.
and that's a whole other place,
Yeah.
you
I
know.
mean, because
Like,
because in reality, that's a word in itself too, because when we look at even like the creation narrative and the creation story, we see that God created limits for us,
yeah,
for our
yeah,
safety, for our
yeah,
well-being,
yeah,
showing how, we have a tendency, and it could be out of good intention, but still we
yeah,
have a tendency to self-destruct if we aren't careful, just due to
yeah,
our appetites
yeah.
overwhelming what our soul actually needs. So like just having that in reality, I've like when that word no in
Hmm.
every sphere of life, I've had to learn how to say that more effectively and
Yep.
know when to say it and learn how to disassociate the word no with being mean, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And gosh, that's a whole thing. Man, like one, like let me backtrack just a
Yeah.
second.
Go ahead. Go
You
ahead.
if you have not taken, I don't know when you're going to take like your, it's like a systematic theology.
Oh,
So
next year.
I like, yeah, yeah, yeah. So I took God and Evil this past
Okay.
semester, and so that
Okay.
was like one of, and thinking about Adam and Eve and all that, you're gonna love that. So
I bet.
that's all I can say for right
I
now.
bet.
Because if
Say less.
not, I will not get off of it. But I think one of those things, it's like we have to be reminded, like for us in a Christian context, because like I create for people that may not be Christian,
Hmm.
and because I recognize, this could be an opportunity to deepen a conversation, or at least for you to be more respectful,
Yep.
like, and but also for you to look for something that is greater than yourself, you
Yep.
know. But like, would I love for people to be Christian and want? Yeah, absolutely. But I'm
For
also
sure.
not naive and foolish.
Yep.
But to think about how Jesus tells his disciples, right, to be wise as serpents,
Okay.
and gentle as doves, right?
Yep.
You gotta you have to be shrewd to
Hmm.
some extent,
Yep.
because if not, you will, you'll be bombarded, you'll be run over. And it's like, yeah, you can still be a pacifist, and yes, you can still choose the path of peace, but you can also know where the buck stops here.
Yep.
Like it doesn't mean I become this aggressor, but it also just means like there are limits, there are boundaries, and
Yep.
I will hold you to that boundary because you're definitely going to hold me to yours.
Yeah.
So why would I not, keep the same energy and hold you accountable and saying like this is my boundary. This is as
Yeah.
far as I go.
Yeah.
And I think that's really good that you're like leaning into that in this season for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. No, right with you. And in other words, no's aren't mean, they're meaningful. It's like
Right.
they are a result of us having clarity in what God has designed us to do. So
Mm.
um, for me too, something else that I've been leaning into heavy, because you mentioned this at the beginning, how seminary theological studies at times can be isolating. I've had to lean into community more and more.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that's
Yeah.
the big
Yeah.
C, right? Community, community, community. Our relationship is a reflection of both of us leaning into community. I think
Yeah.
about times when, I was completely confused on writings. I would text a classmate and be like, look,
Yeah.
yeah, are
What are we
you
doing?
getting this? Like, what's
Yes.
happening?
Yes.
Are you
What is
are you even
happening?
reading this right now? Have you gotten
Yes.
through, these 30
Yeah.
pages they expect us to read of dense, so like having those conversations and getting those insights and even being able to align in different ways has made a difference. And on the job, I've had to be more collaborative because where I say
Mhm.
no to now, I need to lean on a who or another person instead of figuring out how I need to do it because I'm not doing it. I can't do
Mhm.
what's not designed for me to do. I'm gonna pair it with someone else and be like, okay, how can you be empowered to do this?
Yeah.
And what does this look like? And how can we partner together? And that takes a different type of yielding and submission as well and humility.
Mm.
But at the same time, it saves bandwidth, it saves energy, and ultimately keeps our soul intact. So
Right.
community as well as that no have been hand in hand.
Yeah. Yeah. No, definitely. Like, gosh, like without it, like I just think about like, cause you're saying that, and I remember like I straight up crashed out, man. Like it was like middle of semester and I
Yeah.
was at my limit.
Yeah.
It's like and I'm crying to my wife and I'm just like, everybody's asking so much of me. while simultaneously I'm like doing stuff. But it's like there's also a certain level where like what I found to be so difficult was that like I tell people all the time, don't be so romanticized by the words of Psalm 46:10, right? Be still and know that I'm God. Be still doesn't mean stop moving.
Yep. And not at all.
I was like, you know where this was written? They were like, what? I was like, war.
Yeah.
You gonna stop fighting in the middle of war and be like, God told us to stop.
Yeah.
And guess what? You're dead.
Yeah.
You are dead. And I think for us, it's like we think that stillness means stopness,
Yeah.
like to stop, to cease. And it's like to a degree, right? It
Yeah.
might mean stop your striving, slow down,
Mm, mm.
um, but don't
That's a whole word.
quit living,
Yeah.
you know?
Stop your
Like,
striving.
yeah, yeah. Hey, I got one liners. I
Hey,
got them. I
stop
got,
stop your striving. Slow down. Come on. Be
but
still. Keep going. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
yeah,
tough.
yeah. No, no, no. I'm just that's just the reality. It's like as much as like, and I found myself going, but I have to keep going. I can't quit, because I
Yeah.
was very, very much frustrated with like even classmates. I'm like, I don't even get what's going on right now, and this is like, I think at this point it may be 3 weeks per post op for my wife of like knee surgery.
Yeah.
The first 2 weeks were hell. I mean, it was I was enduring. And I can only imagine how she felt, like if I'm struggling because I'm the one making sure that I rewrap her leg right. I'm helping
Mm,
her, go to the restroom, go to the like help her shower. Like literally she could not do normal things,
yeah.
right? Like literally getting out of bed was a task and
Mm,
it was a two-man job. Like it was not until she could literally ease down and get out of bed. And that was like a month. It was a
yeah.
month before she could get out of bed on her own. And so, for me, it was also wrestling with how do I express myself
Mhm.
and not call people a problem because my wife is not a problem by any
Mhm.
means, but the situation was just difficult on top of, crap happening in ministry. And my ministry was like about to do that. And I had
Bad.
to, fundraise $1 air unit and
Wow.
all these, and then I have to maintain the same calm, cool, collective Albert is like, I can't. I'm tired of it. Like I can't do it. But simultaneously, I was like, what is the one thing I can do? And I found myself really just going all in, with the content because it was like, if I can do nothing else, I can make one video to just get it out.
Mhm.
And, and I found myself about to stop. And my wife was like, no, you can't. She was like, I can't let you stop that, actually. She was like, you
Mm.
can stop a lot of things. She was like, you can stop playing video games, but you can't stop. Like
You
she was
can't
like, if
stop
you
your
gonna stop it,
purpose.
you could,
You
yeah.
can stop the
She was like,
pleasure,
but yeah, yeah,
but you can't stop the purpose. You know?
but you can't, don't. But but it was like one of those things. She was just like, she was like, you get a lot out of doing that, like, and she was like, because I've been a creator for years.
Yeah,
When I first started my first podcast, I did that for a year and a half and some change, well, about 2 years consistently.
for
And
sure.
then I just completely like lost fuel because life and I really what I should have done is do what I'm doing now and just make the transition and shift to more long format and slow, like really thinking and then also like collaboration. That's like my big thing. But I think the biggest thing was that like when I gave that up, I lost a piece of myself
Mm,
because it was like, well, I guess I just have to deal with, whatever uh and what I realized was like this was literally like my, audio visual journal essentially. So every
yeah,
time I make a video, that's like the same as a journal entry almost.
yes.
And it's just I'm thinking about this thing, and it might not necessarily be my day, but it just might be a thought that I have that I want to, expand on for
Oh, trust me.
15 to 30 seconds. For me, she was just like, "Yeah, no, you can't stop that because it allows you to process what you're going through."
Mhm.
And so I was like, "Fine, I'll keep going." He who findeth a wife findeth a good thing. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
God
how
has
I
blessed
ended up
you.
at Candler.
Come
Yeah,
on.
like, that's literally how I ended up at Candler, and, because I was at a different, institution, and it's like, "Well, I guess I just gotta thug it out." And she was like, "No, you're not. You're gonna transfer, and you're gonna go to Candler, and you're gonna do great." She was like, "But you gotta get out of there." I was like, "Man," she was like, "No, that's what you need. Fill out your application." I mean, literally, it was like, "Have you filled out your application? Have you written your essays?" Leave me alone, man, like,
Yeah.
please. And it was like, I felt like the Holy Spirit would not release me through Cat. It was like, you're gonna do this, this is what you're supposed to do. And,
Mhm.
I find like, as you were saying, community, if it weren't for the community of my wife, I would definitely, because I don't have a ton of friends here, because,
Yeah.
moving from Mississippi, there was a lot to happen at once, get married, new job, move, and since we've been here, we've had friends kind of come and go, and so the one constant has obviously been my marriage,
Mhm.
and it's just grounded me and saved me from myself, and then I didn't understand what people were saying for years as they talk about their spouse. It was like, oh yeah, she saved me from myself. I'm like, "Pff, man, yeah." It's like this one dude that he talks about his wife all the time. It's like, are you a simp for your wife? Yes, yes, I am simply in love.
Come on.
Because it's a matter of like I'm a better man because of her. When I want to like literally just like break everything, she
Mhm.
goes, don't do it, and I'm the cool tempered one in the relationship.
Yeah.
She's the spitfire.
Wow.
But the moment that I'm, because I have a high tolerance, once I
You
hit
set
that
the break.
tolerance, like I will, I'm gonna light this thing on fire.
Yep.
There was a couple of times this semester I literally told my students, I'm like, I'm just gonna go stand at the top at a match and just burn this whole thing. They were like, "Can we join you?" I'm like, "Okay, never mind. I can't even joke like
I
that.
can't lead you astray.
No, I cannot do that to you."
Yeah.
But with that, how have you found like for you community keeping you grounded? Because like you've already talked about yourself and like your own practices and kind of like your discipline, but like how like unpack a little bit more how that community has really helped you, especially in this season.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times I think community reminds us of who we are and whose we
Oh,
are.
yeah.
So kind of unpack that for us.
For sure, yeah. So there's been multiple moments. I would say directly within the seminary context, having other classmates being in conversation. When that question
Mm,
comes to rise, I remember within the first 2 weeks when I was first having that question internally, like, am I doing the right thing? Is this necessary
mm,
for where I'm going?
yeah,
I began to call, FaceTime,
yeah,
different classmates that were also at orientation.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
was talking with them like, are you facing this question? And they were like, yeah. So then it
Mm,
wasn't like, oh, I'm not facing this alone. I'm not going
mm,
crazy. Let's begin to like talk through and walk through what may be the source of this.
yeah,
Are there any other underlying um, motives even behind that question being made? Do I have a
mm,
fear of time not being maximized, or do I have a fear of failing?
mm,
What do I have to be able to like walk through and talk through? And we began to just converse around that. And then even talking with, shout out to my parents. My parents have been a great community for me. My
yeah,
siblings as well, great community for me,
yeah,
as well as other peers within ministry. Thankfully, I got a big bro. I'm gonna shout him out. His name is Jay Newton. He
mm,
leads a young adult ministry up in Decatur, Georgia.
mm.
1-800 pray for me.
That's awesome.
We have these conversations. He's a creative, Christian
Mm,
rapper, the whole nine. And we have these conversations like just around purpose and like making the most of what God has given us. And just through those conversations, there were times where I may be at a breaking point, or I may be confused, or I may be like, yo, this is like getting weary. And he may be like, but look, who you are called to needs this.
mhm,
Just keep going. Like just trust
yeah,
the process. Or, my dad may speak to me and be like, son, you're doing a great job. Don't stress yourself out. Don't overbear yourself, but
yeah,
keep putting your best foot forward, because I'm already seeing how your mind is opening up from what you're reading, what you're taking in. Your
yeah,
messages are getting clearer. How you're serving the young adults is getting clearer. Like
yeah,
having other people to help really highlight the influence and the impact of our experience makes a difference too. Because I know just from being in the journey, sometimes we can be so close to like the experience that we're not seeing the impact of our experience on others. And
mhm,
that's where that discouragement can come as well. I even remember a time when I was leaning on you for community, and I
yeah,
may have just been checking in. I was like, how are you doing? And you sent me two songs. And one of the songs you sent was All Right by Kendrick Lamar. And you were like, this has been my theme. This has been my theme for the week, and you don't even
Yeah.
know that when I saw that, I said, "Oh, let me go ahead and pop this on real quick." And
Yeah.
and that was such an encouragement in that moment just to keep going, like
Yeah.
everything will be all right. And fun fact, while I was writing my finals paper on Christian nationalism and
Mm,
of the oppressed versus God the oppressor, I
mm.
listened to Pimp a Butterfly. You feel me? Howard Thurman to Pimp a Butterfly, and so
Hey,
some God,
that sound like a book.
you know, and some gospel to get the inspiration going. But just all of those moments of community are a culmination of just how much community has impacted my walk and journey up to this point. Because there have been so many moments where I've had questions, but they provided answers or questions that helped me see myself all of the answers and discovered yet. So, yeah, that's been the journey.
Yeah, yeah, man. That's good stuff, man. Like, I think for us, we find ourselves in such a space where we are learning all the answers, but yet we are coming away with more questions.
Oh,
Uh,
every day.
and I think like that's what people don't realize. And like that's what I've realized over my years. Like even though I have years of like theological education under me now, um, I feel like I have more questions than when I started.
Hmm.
Um, I feel I don't know as much. Like I thought I knew a lot coming into seminary, being halfway through, or I think hours wise, I'm about a quarter of the way through. I don't know anything.
Yeah.
Like I no, I don't. I am certain of a few things, but I am learning a lot of things.
Yeah.
I am certain that I know Jesus and Jesus knows me. Um, I am certain that I am loved by him. I'm certain, he lived, died, and resurrected. Um, but I am uncertain on what the heck am I supposed to be doing with my
Yeah.
life sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I am uncertain on what does this passage actually really mean.
Yeah.
Not because I can't read it and tell you, but recognizing there may be more at work here than I realize. I mean, the amount of times I've preached, different sermons on the same text, and I go and I come away with, how did I get that topic out of this?
Yeah.
But it's like the thing of the more you read it, the more it reads you.
Yep.
The more you read it, the more you realize this is really this is the notebook, right? This is you know the sacred text to guide you,
Mhm.
but you're not guiding it,
Mm-mm.
like. And so like for me, that is a lot of
Man.
stuff. So oh, my bad, you about to
No, 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 you
say
good. I
something?
was just saying it's a
Okay.
journey. That's it. It's
Yeah,
definitely a
yeah,
journey.
yeah. So I guess to transition us a little bit. So talk to us a little bit more about like your own creating, and what that what that does for you. How you creating content, and like how that is served you, how that serves people. Like unpack that for us.
Yeah, so just as a quick little backstory, back in 2020, when I first rededicated my life back to Christ,
Mm-hmm.
I remember I was crying in my room. It was during a Daniel fast for my church. I was crying with my room. I was journaling down what I was receiving during the prayer time. And what I wrote down was that, I was going to be used by God to be able to encourage and cultivate people to become everything they're meant to be through my voice, through words, through writing, through books, like that type of deal, right? Through podcasts, the
Yeah.
whole nine. What we're doing right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I remember when I wrote it down, I was crying because at the time I hated my voice. I didn't like to be in front of people.
Yeah.
I was super self consumed where I was always thinking about what people thought of me, how they
Mm,
thought, how I was being viewed, the whole nine.
yeah.
And, even just being here today is a testament of what God does when we surrender everything over to Him.
Yeah.
But what I learned along the journey of just beginning to make videos on Instagram, first being drumming videos, and then
Yeah.
it was like I could not escape the talking videos. Like
Yeah.
no matter
Yeah.
what I would do, it was like God would just place me in position to start having these words or having these thoughts where I'm like, I have to share this. I can't
Yeah.
go a day without sharing what he placed on my heart today, or
Yeah.
otherwise I'm gonna go crazy,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
maybe I'm going through an experience and it's like, I have to share on this. This is too much of an observation that I know
Yeah.
relates to other people. And in the
Mhm.
process of that journey, that's what actually got me into dropping videos on Instagram, which would then turn into dropping videos on TikTok, which would
Yeah.
then turn into doing longer form on YouTube, which I paused. But over this past semester, I picked it back up on TikTok, and
Yeah.
I just began to, as we're reading these things for seminary, as we're having these conversations in community, as young adult ministries picking up, I'm seeing these experiences, and it's like
Mhm.
God is starting to give me clear pictures to be able to point out, to then piece together for someone else who may be wrestling with that very same thing.
Yeah.
So, for example, recently I did a series called the Hidden Series, and
Mhm.
I was able to reflect on my time feeling hidden, then also
Mhm.
reflect on David's time in the Bible being hidden, then also
Mhm.
reflect on Adonis Creed and like Goku being
Mhm.
hidden in their seasons,
Hey, hey,
hey,
hey,
hey,
hey.
and do something where we tie it all together. And it's like,
Yeah.
what God is showing me is like, as a creator, he created me to be creative,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's like, as a creative, if I live this life, for me to keep my soul well, I have to be able to create in some form or fashion.
Right.
Um,
Right.
and so for me, like having TikTok, having Instagram, and soon again, we'll be back on YouTube as well, just with a team.
Yeah.
Having these outlets to be able to share perspective and
Mhm.
help provide people with pictures that can potentially provide them with peace and
Yeah.
more purpose. It's not only an encouragement, it's satisfying to who
Right.
I am as a person and who I am as an individual. So I would say that's where I am from the creative journey. I also went to undergrad, and I've always been around music. So being
Yeah.
able to help cultivate artists that way, back then I was helping people with uh, what's known as A&R work, which is artist and repertoire. You help develop a person's songwriting, you help develop a person's delivery. Now
Mhm.
God has me doing that for people in life,
Yeah.
and just seeing how He broadened our scope when we yield everything over to Him. So it's been a journey from 2020 that
Mhm.
initially started with videos that may have, 1, 2 views. And it's like, God, I'm doing this out of faithfulness. I'm doing this because I'm feeling like the urge. And then God
Yeah.
grows it slowly over time as well. So that's been a blessing to see.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Man, that's huge. Yeah. No, I I I rock with that, like I resonate with that heavy because man, like just doing stuff out of faithfulness and uh and you see nothing.
Nothing, nothing at all.
Absolutely nothing.
And
Yeah.
your own friends even were like, oh, you're doing that little video thing,
Yeah, yeah.
or I was like, oh, it was like, oh,
Yeah,
cool.
like, oh yeah, and then all of a sudden, it gets traction. It was like, oh, I didn't know you were actually serious. And you're like, yes, the entire time I was serious.
I,
You just now became aware of the seriousness.
I remember when I first started, bro. I had a friend. They were like, "You're posting too much. Like, we see your face too much, and
I
it's
don't care.
annoying." you know, and I
Be
had to
delivered.
choose to. I had to choose to embrace that direction, and attribute that to my own self esteem, or to do what I felt like God was telling me to do. And I'm
Yeah,
like, "Yo, this is on my heart. I have to share it."
yeah,
And of course, I take it in to be strategic. Maybe I need to plan it out a little better. But at the same
yeah,
time, no, it's like we have to stay on point, because although I may be annoying you, it's probably blessing many more people. And that's what
yeah.
I think about at the same times.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man, gosh, yeah, I think about that sometimes because I'll be like, "Dang, man, I probably posted too much," because that used to be a thing.
Yes.
That used to be a thing about
Yeah.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
It was don't double post,
Yes.
right? Don't triple. That's just beggy. And the folks that did not listen to that are now the folks with millions of YouTube subscribers because they did not care what anybody. And now it's like, yeah, post every day,
Yep.
like post 2, 3 times a day,
Yep.
there are people that have like whole like things built around posting 5 times a day, how you posting,
Yes.
morning when people first wake up to breakfast, when people eat to lunchtime, to
Lunch.
when
Yeah.
people get off work, to when people go into bed, this, that, and the third. And then there are other people's like, oh, you have too many videos, but also you still need to post more videos. Maybe take one day, and then it's
Yeah.
like at the end of the day, you have to do what you feel comfortable with doing,
Yes.
and I think like that's the biggest part of being a creative that I've come to know myself too. It's like sometimes inspiration strikes, and sometimes I know, well, maybe this is too much because of what I'm trying to do. Like
Mhm.
maybe I need to spread it out this way. But then sometimes it's like, man, you know what? If nobody likes it, I like it. I literally go watch my own videos to
Same,
be like, okay, do I like what I'm putting out?
same.
Like, do I actually? Because it's one thing to edit it and do all the things, but then like to actually go and watch and be like, would I like this?
Yep,
Yeah, I actually would like this.
yeah,
And, I think, like, what's so funny is because I own, quite a few cameras now. The one I'm shooting on here, and the other 2 that I use for, like, more photography and, like, just little videography here and there. And, so I've, like, invested money in
yeah.
this my own personal capital. And it's like, you're gonna suck at first too.
Every
Like,
time.
you're not gonna be good at first.
Yeah.
And I think, it's like that unfair expectation that people have on us sometimes
Mhm,
that we take on ourselves. Like, dang, why am I not as polished or
mhm.
crisp as these other creators? Well, probably because that creator has a whole team working with them,
Yes.
and I'm the one
Editors.
man show. Yeah.
Yeah.
And but with that, you learn so much. You learn what it means to, like, actually care about the craft, to
Mhm.
do the thing, to show up each and every day, showing up when
Yeah,
you don't wanna show up, and just
yeah,
saying, "I'll try it again."
yeah.
And I think that's huge, man.
Yeah, no, that's facts. You know, that scripture, and I believe it's Matthew 23, about being faithful over a few things, and God will make you ruler over
Mhm,
many. And even with the parable of the talents, like,
mhm.
understanding, like, what I always tell myself at least is, when I start something, I'm going to suck. And I just
Yeah,
have to get through that sucky stage. That's it.
yeah,
I have to face the suck. I have to give myself permission to fail. I have to
yeah,
give myself permission to make those mistakes. And then
yeah.
whatever comes after that, if I'm able to press through that, one, I'm really passionate about it so I can stick with it. Two, I'm gonna be just get better each and every time from
Yeah,
that point forward. So it's just a
right.
matter like, nowadays there's moments where I post a video and while I'm editing it, I'm rewatching it over and over again. I'm like, "Oh, this is good. Like, this is fire."
Yeah,
You
you
know
was
what I
like,
mean?
"Dang, this
Like,
this kinda
you
that's
know?
kinda that's kinda
Y
hidden." Yeah.
and I might go back and watch old video and be like, "Ooh, I'm cringing." But at the
Yeah,
same
yeah,
time, this was the growth point necessary to get
yeah,
here,
yeah.
So, I say that because I know, like you said, there's so many creatives who at times get in their own head and never
Mhm,
release. And,
mhm.
I call it
I was
OG.
one of them.
Yeah, me too. And I call it OG Andre 3K syndrome. It's like,
Mm.
you want to put out the Flu album, right? But it's like maybe good and well you have the ability, but you don't have the belief in your ability.
Well, my
Um,
boy said you have to first, in order to produce hip hop, you have to be hip. Andy Mineo put that in his
yeah,
new album, and I
yeah.
was like,
That new Andy Mineo album go crazy, by the way. That's
"Dog,
absolutely nuts. But and then
yeah,
from an anime perspective, Todoroki. Like Todoroki technically he has the most gifting of any person, at least in the original, arcs. Yet, oh, see, we got Todoroki, and yep. Shout out to
yeah,
Todoroki.
yeah."
You feel me?
Put the
My
and
hero,
then
hey, my hero going crazy right now.
yeah,
But
then go ahead and tell him about the real one now.
hey,
Go
hey,
go
hey, are you talking about
the,
Midoriya? Yeah.
yes,
Oh, come
go
on
go
now.
ahead go ahead
Yeah.
go ahead and tell him about the real one.
Hey, I'm just all I know is he steps it up every arc that he's in, and this next one
No,
that's
he
about to
didn't.
come out is about to go super crazy because
Have you watched it?
no, I read some of it though.
You need to watch it. It's done.
Oh, it's done.
It is
Oh,
finished,
I'm gonna check it out then.
bro.
It's on Hulu.
I cried. Hmm?
It's on Hulu.
I think so.
Okay.
Uh, there was not one episode that entire season I did not cry,
Because
and I
I
read
know
it.
what they're getting into, but man, okay,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I'll
yeah,
check
yeah.
that out. No, but yeah, so to whoever has been like wrestling with starting and stopping, like just start, and then when you start, just keep going. And
Yeah,
if you don't have the energy or passion to keep going, that's okay. Just pivot to the next thing, and then
yeah,
start, and then keep going again. Because what you are meant to do, you will have. God gives you
mhm,
passion to do it.
yeah,
And even throughout the different circumstances, I know I'm called to create and called to use my voice because even with work and school and ministry picking up, it's like I still have to find ways to do it,
yeah,
So, um, yeah, yeah, God rewards faithfulness. So,
for sure,
yeah,
for sure, man. So, gosh, that's so good, man. Like I think, like, we have to remember that, it's like you said, being faithful for a little bit.
yeah,
Like, just being faithful a little bit, it'll
yeah,
go a long way.
yeah,
And, reminding ourselves it's the mustard seed is literally like, I mean, you can't, I can't even replicate how small it is.
For sure.
Like, and it grows into this massive tree,
For
you
sure.
know, and, or thinking about how this one little seed, from grapes could turn into a whole, now you gotta plant multiple, and that's the other thing, you gotta plant multiple seeds,
Oh,
but
facts.
it's like you think this vineyard came because one, person went out there and said, just plant this one." No, you gotta
No,
plant multiple
playing
seeds. Some of
multiple.
them will fail, some
Yep.
will mess up, but one of them will make it.
Yep.
And if one out of every 100 seed you plant in 1,000 acres, I
Yeah.
mean, the harvest,
The
like, it's gonna
harvest,
be
it
crazy.
will be plenty. It will be
Yeah,
plenty. And, and it takes that because in our context, the seed grows with attention and focus, right? So it
right.
takes that watering with our focus and really like giving God and giving ourselves time to process what we're doing, setting
Mhm.
aside time out in our day practically. If you don't spend any
Yeah,
time, thinking about what's on your heart, you're going to miss the mark. So maybe setting up
yeah,
15 minutes at the end of each day just to be
yeah,
able to ponder, reflect, write down, and then
yeah,
you create from there,
yeah,
that makes all the difference doing those practical steps as well. And there was something else you mentioned just now that I thought about. Faith. Well, yes. And then as you grow, right? Because I do believe that we have these seasons of faithfulness, one to get enough experience around what it entails to be able to create what we're called to create so that we
mhm,
can then leverage and empower others to do the same or do it more
mhm,
effectively. So,
yeah,
for example, as we grow, we may not have as much time to edit, right? But
right,
you may know exactly what your style is now to then
yeah,
leverage an editor who gets
right,
energy from that to be able to carry that out well,
yeah,
or to market or the clip, like the whole nine. So it's like,
yeah, yeah,
just like with ministry, it's like as you grow, one season you did everything. And one
yep,
season would become you. I was preaching, serving, volunteering, greeting, doing the social media, doing all of it. And
yep,
now we have a social media team. All I gotta
yep,
say is it post it? You know what I
yep,
mean? Now I have different prayer people. All I gotta say is, hey, here's a list. Cover these, so it's like that faithfulness pays off over time.
for sure,
Yeah.
for sure,
Turns into fruit.
yeah.
So, yeah.
That's good. That's good. Man, so I guess to round us out,
Yes, sir.
close us out, do you have any questions for me?
Let's see. That's a great question. I have a lot of questions for you, Albert, but we're gonna limit this down. I know we're
I give you your top 3, your
top.
top 3.
Okay, okay, here we go. So first question, right? You mentioned how your wife has pretty much been your helpmate and helpmeet in so many different ways,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
What would you say is the number one lesson you've learned um in your experience in that mutual benefit, that mutual servitude towards one another. Post op for her, you've been serving her throughout the seminary journey. She's been serving you in different ways. What's been the number one lesson from that experience? Or, I guess the better way to frame that is how has that aspect of that experience further refined your relationship with God and how He loves you?
Yeah, I'd say, it has called me to listen even when I wanna be hard-headed. Like, I want to be hard. I don't wanna do what you're telling me to do
Hmm.
because I know you're right. I don't want you to be right, but I have to listen. It's, like, so funny, like, I don't mean this in a mean way, so, sweetheart, if you watch this, I'm so sorry. But, like, I allow I allow God to nag me,
Mm.
like, how and she's not a nagger, like, she does not
Thank
nag me.
God. That's a
Like,
blessing
yeah,
right there.
but, like, that's what I'm like, I hope I'm articulate, but, like, it's like that, that feeling of when you get a gnat and it's like, like, in your ear, and it's just, like, pesky and annoying, like, that's kinda how, like, Cat was, and, like, "Hey, like, did you read today? Did you do your" as like, even in finals week, my wife is actually working on her master's in social work, and she is,
Wow.
praise the Lord, 1 semester away, like, we are
Congratulations. Yeah, we
man,
snap that up.
yes, yes. 1
Yeah.
semester away. She's been, like, crushing it for the past 2.5 years. She's about to graduate with, like, a 3.8, 3.9. I mean, like, she's I reached, you know what I'm saying? I'll go ahead and say that. There are settlers and there are reachers. I reached, right? But, for my as for how this relates to my relationship with God, though, like, going a little step further, it's like, I have to give God the permission to give me the calling, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Like, I have to be open to him saying these things and me to actually fulfill it. Because you can close your ear, right? You
All
can
the
be
time.
hard-hearted. You can be hard and you can there was something that I read years ago, I can't remember, it was in a book that said you want to be you have to have a certain amount of, hardness to you. You can be hard-headed or you can be hard-hearted, but you can't
Mm,
be hard-headed and hard-hearted, but you also can't be soft-headed and soft-hearted. You need to
mm,
be hard-headed and soft-hearted is what the author said, and you need to allow yourself to bleed.
mm,
You need to still feel, right? But also you need to have a certain level of discernment, a certain kind of filter that you can this hits here and it ain't got enough space. No,
mm,
you don't have enough time because this already goes, nope, that's nonsense. But when it's like something that pricks your heart, but you're thinking hard about it, you're like, man, but like your heart's like, you kind of need to lean into this.
mhm.
It's being able to say, okay, I hear you, but it's just that openness to that. Because you can hear it and be like, nope, I'm good. And
Yeah.
it shows it's like I ask my students this question all the time for when I took my intro to Old Testament class years ago. Like, who hardened Pharaoh's heart? And they always go, Pharaoh. And I just look at them and I smile. And they said, because the word says it. Does it? Did Pharaoh harden his heart? Well, it was God. Is it? Did God harden Pharaoh's heart? And what I try to explain is God told him, yes, I will harden your heart.
Mhm,
But here's a very fascinating point. In the Hebrew, harden means to make heavy. It could mean not just hard exterior, but like a heaviness to it,
mm,
right? Like that's why we know that, like, all these dense metals, they're hard, they're strong, but they're heavy.
mhm,
So what if Pharaoh's heart consistently got heavier as things were happening to his people, and now his firstborn dies, and now it is at the heaviest possible, and that's why
mm,
he finally breaks his will and goes and pray for me. you
mm.
know, so
Yeah.
one of those little things. But yeah,
Wow. Wow. No, that's amazing. That's amazing. Well, look, off that, he said, like, I got two more. This is my next one. That was a fire. Look, I'm still soaking that up. Okay, so heavy. Okay, heavy is the head. Okay, here we
yeah.
go. So, my next one would be, and one of my guys actually asked me this recently, so I'm gonna relay this to you. This is a good
Go,
community question.
go.
Um, how do you know God is proud of you?
I would say because opportunities are still presented, and I don't feel like a hypocrite.
Mm,
Like like this
mm,
opportunity comes in front of me and I don't feel like imposter syndrome, like I shouldn't be doing this.
mm,
But like everything points to I should be able to do this, but I still am like, oh my
mm.
gosh. And so then don't get me wrong, you still have that twinge of imposter syndrome. Like I
Yes.
recently did photos for a church in Savannah for their Christmas concert. It was awesome. It was
I
amazing. It
saw
was
some
like
of
my first.
those.
Yeah, man.
The
Like
boy strapped up. He had the
I
halter.
I had to be in my bag with it. You know
Hey,
what I'm saying?
yeah.
And I mean, I call my buddy that's also a creative. I had him on like over the summer, and he's been doing photography for years. He actually has done some photos for me and my wife when we first started dating, like just a good buddy of mine. And I was like, man, talk me off the ledge of this event because I feel like I'm way past my depth. And he reminded me, he said, that's a good feeling.
Mm,
He says, because you care. He's like, you want to do a good job, So we also have to, distinguish, am I just afraid or do I feel like I'm a hypocrite? Because really, I was just afraid. I was
yeah,
scared. I didn't want to mess it up, and that's
yeah,
that's healthy.
yeah,
And so I think because the opportunities continue to present themselves, and I feel like, okay, I want to do this. I'm nervous because I want to do a good job,
yeah,
but I don't feel like my world is going to end because I'm not the guy I think I am.
sure. Not the guy I think I am. That's so real. I'm
Yeah,
doing my best not to preach off that. So
yeah,
that's a I received that through and
yeah.
through. And then my last question will be in this moment. is hold on, it just left me. I just had it while you're talking. That last statement about not the guy I think I have just stuck out to me.
Yeah.
But I would say the last question has to do with hold on. Had the holsters. There we go. So the last question is this one right here.
Yeah.
Um, if you had to describe this season with one word, what would that word be?
I feel like I have 2 words. It's one word or the other. That's kinda where I'm at. It's
Okay.
like I would
Okay.
either describe it as this word or I describe it.
Okay. Go ahead.
One would be push.
Okay.
It's like I had to push. Like
Sure.
I had to continue to push through, or I had to push to the next thing kinda thing,
Mm-hmm.
or I was being pushed to do things. The other one would be stretch, and that's why
Mm.
I don't know which
Yeah.
route I would go because, there was a great amount of both.
Yeah.
But for stretch, I was stretched really thin. Um, and like there are other areas where I just let go, you know. And so like the stretching kind of allowed me to recognize you got to drop this.
Mm.
You got to stretch, but also this one thing that you think you need to do, you don't.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's gonna be past your bandwidth,
Yeah.
like, extremely past your bandwidth. That's gonna be past your limit, so I really had to, like, stretch myself
Yeah.
and even stretch what I thought I was capable of too. Because I will say even, like, with parts of seminary, like, "Bro, I just wanna quit." Like, and it's like, "Well, you can't really do that."
Yeah.
Like, especially considering that my seminary is was very thankful, being supported through, like, my denomination and everything, so
More.
it's like,
Yeah.
you're gonna have to stretch, and it's like that thing of the Anaminio line right, where he's like, "Sometimes you gotta get, sore in order to be swole," you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
you have to stretch yourself. The reason why we have muscles is because they stretch and tear and stretch and tear
Mm-hmm.
and rebuild to the point now you have definition, and now you
Yep.
have strength.
Yeah.
But if there's no soreness, you not getting swole. If that doesn't happen, you will not gain the speed or the flexibility or any of those things. You have to stretch. Then
Mm-hmm.
you can know your limit, but you do have to stretch first to see just how far you can go. Not to the point of breaking completely, but like best believe there's gonna be a little tearing,
Mm-hmm.
but it should be tearing off what is bad or tearing off the thought that I can't. Like, it should be taking all those things away and
Mm-hmm.
pushing you towards, like, that place to be. So, yeah, that's but I'd probably say stretch would probably be the better of the 2 words for
Okay. Yeah,
sure.
about to say it sound like stretch. How you were able to
Yeah.
go into that. I can attest to that full fledged. Super relatable. I know this has been a time where, um, like I said before, every aspect of life is just like you're learning that some of the limitations, even amidst those stretchings, were self inflicted because
Mhm.
we were living according to who we thought we were instead of who we are in
Yeah.
God, and it's like this experience,
Mhm.
creating through seminary, ministry, every facet is showing us that, who we thought we were or who we thought we were is a lot smaller than who God says we are and who God
Mhm.
is. And it's like this each step, although we have more questions, God is big enough to handle them,
Right.
and
Yeah.
we get to be able to have the freedom and grace to experience it in a context where we can learn, as well as become better and grow, more in Him. So I'm thankful. I'm thankful.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
thankful. So
Yeah.
appreciate your answer
That's
on that. That was fire.
yeah. Yeah. No, I appreciate the question. That was good. It was like one of those like, yeah, I'm at think on that one, because that's the and I think that's what's like so funny. It's like even um being in the career that I'm in, I don't get asked those questions
Hmm.
often. At least not from a peer. Like I definitely get those like kind of questions from like professors. It's for all right. This is for you to think on. Now on to the next thing. And you're like,
Right.
brother, I'm still reeling from that question. But yeah, no, I think that's good stuff for sure though. So yeah. Well, hey man, I appreciate you for coming on, hanging out with us,
Appreciate it.
and blessings to you and all the education and exploration that you are doing,
Yes, sir.
and
Thank you.
and the content creating and all the things because you do some good stuff, man. And
Thank you.
yeah, we appreciate you having on. We appreciate you coming on and spending time. Anyway, whatever. I don't know. Appreciate y'all for watching. Be good, y'all. Peace over here, Greece.